Right, hello Year 9. This video is going to show you how to make the nightlight project in 3D in a program called Google Sketchup, which is quite an easy to use package that we use for just designing ideas in electronic products. It's not the most impressive bit of software and it can be a bit frustrating at times, but nonetheless it's really good for doing simple ideas like this and getting your point across. Pretty good to have in your coursework as well if you can get that far. So anyway, we're going to build this, and if you can build everything that I've done on this model, you'll get an A grade for this assignment. So I'm expecting basically each panel to be made separately, so your sides, the top panel, the dome. I'm expecting it to have LEDs inside. It should be that detailed that you can make, for instance, just temporarily remove the side panel, and I should be able to see inside and check that a battery and a standard circuit board and LEDs will all fit in there. You've got holes for the LEDs. Things like this panel here, which is the base, you should be able to remove it so you can imagine what it would look like and prove that you've got enough access space. So it's really is a proper model. You can see all the little notches where all the panels are going to slot together for extra strength. This is what we're building. Okay, so if you can do all of that, take the screenshots and put it on a page and hand it in. If you've done everything, you'll get an A star for it. Easy. Okay. Your first job, you're going to need to go and load up a file to help you. It's this PowerPoint here. Now you'll find that on the student drive. Now I'm at home recording this, but student drive is M drive. So if you look at what my mouse is pointing out, so you go M drive, Tech, then Mr. Winter, then Year 9 Electronics, Year 9 Nightlight Project, 3D CAD lessons, and then load up this one called Nightlight Dimensions, which will give you a PowerPoint that looks like that. Okay, this has got all the sizes of all the parts on it, and I'm going to be referring to this when I make the model, so make sure you've got this loaded. It'll make your life easier. Okay, I've just got to pause the video because my dinner's finished cooking, and I'll be back in what appears like no time whatsoever. Alright then, yeah, had my dinner. So you need to load up Google Sketchup first, and you'll find that it has an icon that looks a bit like this. It might not say 2014, and your version at school might be slightly different, but it's basically the same. It hasn't changed a lot. So load up the program. I'm just going to close this down so I can load it again and show you, because you've got to set up something in a particular way. So when you load it, you should get a screen similar to this. Click Start using SketchUp. And actually on yours you need, if it's the first time you've done it, you'll need to choose a template. So rather than click Start, just go to Template, click the little arrow, and we're going to choose Architectural Design Millimeters, anything that's got millimeters in the title. Just don't choose feet and inches or meters. Okay, so make sure that's your template and click Start using. Right, yours will look a little bit different to mine. Yours will not have the large tool set, so you need to go and get that first. So you go View, Toolbars, and just tick Large Tool Set. Okay, there's a few tools on there that we're going to use today that aren't always there. Right, everything here is to scale. So this woman, two-dimensional weird woman, is supposed to represent an actual size human being. So obviously when we draw our nightlight, it should be quite small compared to her. It should be the size of, sort of fit in a hand kind of size. Anyway, I'm going to delete that woman because she's annoying. So all I did was just use the arrow tool, click her, and press delete on your keyboard, and she's gone. Right, we're going to start by drawing, let's start, I'll just get this loaded. Let's start by making the top panel, okay? And I'll show you the cleverness of SketchUp here. So our top panel measures, if we look at our dimensions, 78 by 78 square. I'm going to draw that to start with, and I'll put these little notches in a minute. So get your square tool. Now we're going to try and draw it flat, so you should be drawing it on the plane that is sort of the red and the green axis. Okay, now if you look down in the bottom right, you'll see the dimensions of it. You could spend ages here trying to get them both to say 78 78, or what is easier is just to type 78 and then a comma and then 78 and hit enter, and that will draw you an actual size box. Now you'll need to zoom in here. To zoom in, scroll the middle wheel on your mouse button, like so. A few pointers on how to maneuver around now, by the way. If you click the middle mouse button in and hold it, you can kind of rotate around in 3D like I'm doing here. If while you do that you hold shift, you can pan, so you can drag your view left and right. Okay, so you can kind of rotate around, pan and zoom in and out until you've got everything you need to. Alright, good. If you, for instance, accidentally lose your work, if you go over here, you've got this zoom extents tool. If you click that, it will just zoom straight back in, so whatever it is you've drawn fills up the entire view. Okay, right. Okay, I'll show you the rest of it. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to make this three-dimensional. Now, it doesn't show you very obviously in here, but you should know that the plywood we use is 4mm thick. So every panel we make, all 6 of these are going to be 4mm deep, if you like. So this is where a very clever tool in SketchUp comes in. You've got this one called Pushpull. It's up here as well, it's just duplicated. So select that tool and just click and drag up. You see we can turn this box 3D. We can drag upwards or downwards, and we can see our distance down here. Now we want it 4, so you can just let go of your mouse, type 4 on the keyboard and hit enter, and that will make you your first panel. Now we've got to put in all these other bits now. So what we've got is we've got some cutouts that are, we've got 4mm here and then another 10, so we've got a rectangle here, if I just zoom in a bit, which is effectively 14 deep by 4 thick. Alright, so I'm going to try and draw these on the onto the model now. Okay, so get my rectangle tool. I'm going to start from here. So you can see you get these little kind of blobs that appear to show you when you're on the corner. So click, and I'm going to draw out a rectangle, and it needs to be 14,4. Hit enter, and we've drawn that. Okay, I'm going to do the same from every corner now. So one going this way, 14,4. Make sure they're kind of pointing the same way. That one like that, coming in 14,4, and the same here. Okay, so just draw them a bit bigger than you need, then type in your dimensions, 14,4. Okay, right, another clever use of SketchUp. If we go and get our push-pull tool, we can now take that bit and pull it down, and if you pull it so your mouse moves to the very bottom edge and let go, it will wipe out that bit entirely. Okay, so do it again. Do it again. There we go. Right, so we've made kind of that cutout here, but we've now got a smaller cutout of 10mm in there next to it. Okay, so basically we've got this whole corner. It should be 14 by 14, but 4 thick. So I hope that's not too confusing for you. So now I'm going to make a rectangle that is from here in. Make sure you're drawing it on the top. Notice, by the way, if you're looking at this from the side, can you see the rectangles sometimes get drawn sideways and sorts of other things? So adjust your view so you're looking top down. Make sure your rectangle is appearing how you imagine, and we want it 10,4. Same this way, 10,4, and then good news is this first panel is probably the most complicated one, apart from the dome, but we won't talk about that yet. Right, now you've got to get rid of these bits, so pull tool, so you're going to pull that down, there we go, and do that. Good. Right, so this is starting to look a bit like a 3D version of this. Before we carry on, we're going to make this circular bit with these cutouts in it, and these holes for the LEDs and the light dependent resistor that we're going to put in. So I've done these by radius, and what we're saying is we've got a circle that's radius of 30 and a circle that's radius of 27. So we're going to make this big circle here and then cut these bits out afterwards. So follow my method for this. We need to draw those circles in lined up with the center of this, so we've got to find the center of this somehow. Now the easiest way to do that is get your line tool and draw a line from one corner to the other and from that corner to the other, and where those lines cross, you should know this from maths, that's the center of your square. Go and get your circle tool, make sure you're in the middle, click, and again we wanted this to be 30 radius, and then there's one inside that's 27, so type 30, hit enter, then draw another circle and type 27 and hit enter. So you should have that pattern now. Okay, you can now get rid of some of these lines you don't need. So for instance, these lines we used to find the center, they're no longer needed. Oh, if you make a mistake like that, by the way, like I've done, I've chopped the top out, just do edit, undo, or you can do Control Z on the keyboard. So to show you that, Control Z undoes, alright. Always get used to using undo if you make a mistake rather than just carrying on and trying to fix it later, because you only make more work for yourself. Right, so we got that. We've got to now put in a kind of gap here. Now I haven't actually put any dimensions on this. I'm going to say go with maybe 10 millimeters. So this is going to be a bit ad-libbed. I'm just going to get the rectangle tool and I'm just going to try and make it even. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move down here along this side until the little blue blob appears. That means I'm in the middle. So I've got my line, and then what I'm going to do is, using my line tool, I'm going to make a line and move upwards and make it 5. Hit enter. You see I've got a little blob now appeared here, and draw all the way across, and then I'm going to do the same coming down. So come down 5, there's my blob, draw all the way across, and now I've got my kind of guidelines. So I've now got to get rid of bits tactfully. So get my arrow tool, and I want to get rid of these lines here. Okay, make sure you're picking the line, by the way, not the face like that when you click delete. Okay, this is a bit time consuming, and this is one of the annoying bits of this program. It can be quick for some things and then really frustratingly slow for others. Okay, and then get rid of the extra lines you need. Brilliant. Right, we want to make those a hole, so that's where the pull tool comes in. So you're going to pull downwards. Now you can type -4 if you want and hit enter. Actually that didn't work. You can pull down and just type or do what I did there. Alright, basically pull it down, but then, I know it seems counterintuitive, but drag your mouse out sideways until you pick up the edge of the work, and that will pull that face down to the edge, and in doing so will make a hole. Okay, so do the same with this one. Pull it down to the bottom edge of the work, and you've made that there. All that's left to do now is you've got 1, 2, 3 holes for your LEDs. I'm not too bothered about how these are spaced because it's up to you so long as they're within the dome, but they are 5mm diameter or 2.5 radius, and then you've got another 2.5 radius hole on the outside, which is for the light dependent resistor, which is going to detect when it's light or dark. So no prizes for guessing. Circle tool, click, radius we wanted was 2.5. Let's put one there. I'll try and do it as triangular as I can. 2.5, same again, 2.5, and then another one on somewhere on the corner here, 2.5. Right, we've got to make all of those holes now, so pull tool, okay, and again pull them down to the edge. When you get used to how this pull tool works, it's really powerful. Right, we've made our first panel, if you like. So feel free to have a look around, just check there's no mistakes, no bits missing. If you were worried about any of the sizes, by the way, and you thought you might have got something wrong, over here is this dimension tool. If you click on an edge and on another edge and pull out, it tells you how big that is. So that's 50. We can check from here to here, for instance, is 10. From here to here, we can confirm is 4. 4, 10, 50. Let's have a look at our plan. 4, 10, 50. Yeah, I know what I'm doing, so of course it's spot on. Right, delete those dimensions afterwards, by the way, just use them to help you. Right, that panel is finished. So I'm going to do what's called make it a component now. So I'm going to get my arrow tool, drag a box around the entire thing, right click on it, so right mouse button, and click make components. Okay, so call it what it is, top panel. Okay, and there we go. Now your next job is to make the side panels, and then we'll make the bottom. We can actually copy and paste this later and use it to make the bottom, because when you look at this you'll see the bottom is essentially the same size, it's just got a different shape in the middle. So we're going to make the long side, well, let's make the short side panels now. So these are 10 by 50 by 10, and 50 high overall, and they fit, if you can imagine these little teeth here, fit into this little 10mm slot there and there. Okay, so I'm going to make a 10 by 50 by 10 and by 50 high. So I'm just going to sort of do this as I go now, and then I'll you guys can come back and check your sizes. Right, I'm going to draw it horizontally. You can draw it in a different plane if you wish to, but I'll show you how to rotate it in a minute. So I'm going to draw, what was it, 50 by 10, 50, 10, so 10 plus 50 is 10, 70, so 50 by 70, and then with these bits cut out of it. So rectangle, 50, 70, and I'm going to pull that up with the pull tool, 4mm, and then I'll do this with the line tool this time. So it was along 10, down 4, along 50, must be up 4, and along 10. That's the exact mirrored on the bottom. So with the line tool, starting from the edge, along 10, hit enter, there's the blob, this way. Notice by the way, it kind of, when it goes red, it's saying you're drawing it parallel to this red axis. Okay, so use the colours of the lines to help you. So we wanted to go 4 that way. This way it goes green, if you have a look, because back there's the green axis, so moving this way is green. Okay, anyway, so going this way 50, and then back in 4. And I'll do the same on the bottom, so it was along 10. You'll see it handily, it gives you nice little dotted lines like that to help you line it up. 4, from here to here, there you go. So sometimes you don't even have to type the dimensions, because if there's a mirrored part, it matches it for you. Okay, going to get rid of those bits, so we're going to pull that down to the bottom, pull that down to the bottom, and looking at the plan, that is it. There's nothing more to that. There are 2 of these, so what we do now is make it a component. So again, drag a box around the whole thing, right click, make component. So this is shorter side, and I'm going to make 2 of them. So I'm going to select it and just do edit, copy, edit, paste. Alright, we've got another one. Right, time for a bit of assembly I think now. So we actually want to start gluing these together. Now this is where it can get a bit fiddly. You're going to be using a combination of the move tool and the rotate tool. So the first thing we need to do is rotate this 90 degrees. So get the rotate tool, and we're going to look at it sideways on. Okay, notice your thing should be going green. Okay, so just click once, click again, and then, oh, I had the wrong part. Sorry, I'll just undo that. So choose the one you want to rotate first, get the rotate tool, click on the side, click again, and rotate. Right, and again it kind of snaps to the normal angles, or you can just type 90 for 90 degrees and it will move it. Okay, we're now going to bring this over to our object. So this is where it gets confusing. You're going to use the move tool, and you've got to kind of, if you're looking at it from the side, you can move it up and down and in and out quite accurately, but obviously that's not lined up above and beyond. So get it kind of close by just sort of zooming in and out, and getting it in the right ballpark. Sometimes it will jump over the place and do weird things, and then you can use some of these tools here. So what we're saying is that edge there, can you see, I don't know if you can make it out, there's a tiny little purple circle will join to this purple one here. So if you click there and click when it goes purple on this line, it's kept those lines lined up. Likewise, in fact it should actually be this edge lines up with that edge. So click, drag it down, there we go. And now this edge, if we zoom in here I'll show you, this edge needs to line up with this edge, so just click and drag this way until it touches. Alright, and once you've done that in several directions, it should be joined together as you want. Okay, my advice to you, when you've got them joined up as you expect, drag a box around the pair of them and right click and don't make them a component but make them a group. That way they're now locked together and they won't come apart by accident. Okay, so same method, we're going to rotate this and move this one. So choose it, rotate tool, make sure you've got the right colour, so we're rotating about that axis. I want to do 90 degrees, so I type 90. I'm going to move it with the move tool, so let's bring it into the right area. Look at it from above, get it roughly lined up, look at it from the side and move upwards. Alright, and then I realised that So what we're saying is if we're moving, you see if you hover it says on face, and face should go to, it won't actually let me do it, maybe look underneath them. So that edge should be with this edge, and what would you know, I got it right first time. But if it wasn't, obviously just drag it left to right as well, you know, from edge to edge until it kind of snaps. It's got a certain level of intelligence, so it'll figure it out as you go. Okay, select all of that lot now, and now right click on it and make it a group. Okay, and now we're ready to make the other two sides. Now it might be a good time now to rotate this whole thing 90 degrees because technically it's upside down. So I'm going to choose the whole thing, get my rotate tool. Okay, it doesn't really matter which way you do it from. I'm going to choose it here, click, and I want to do a 180. Okay, good. Right, we can make the shorter sides now. Now you could spend ages making them. Sorry, these are the longer sides. You could spend ages making them and then moving them into place, or you could get clever and try and do them in situ, which is what I'm going to try and do now. So I'm going to make one of them. So I'm going to do that as follows. Actually, do you know what? No, I'm going to do it the hard way. I'm going to make them separately because I'm only going to confuse you otherwise. So we've got to make them, the longer ones are 14 plus 50 plus 14, so that 14 plus 14 is 28 plus 50 is 78. And I'm assuming they're the same size as these, so they're 78 by 50 rather than 70 by 50. And the notches are 14 mil. Okay, so same method. Draw it out. So we wanted 78, 50. Make it 4 mil big with a pull tool, so pull it up 4, hit enter. Then we want to put the little teeth on them, and the teeth were 14 big on this one. So drag that out, 14, 4. Same here, 14, 4. You don't have to use the rectangle tool, you can use the line look, so you could come along 14, up 4, and back to here. Okay, whatever you find easiest. The rectangle just is a bit quicker, so 14, 4. Alright, now, have I done that right? Actually, it was the 50 mil bit that needed to go away, so I'm going to change my drawing now. I'm just going to draw a line across there. This is an easy way to fix this, a line across there, and then get rid of, which bit did I, right, so it's the 50 mil bit I want to remove. So I no longer need that line, so I'm just clicking them and pressing delete. I hope you're still following me. And then the push-pull tool, I'm going to pull that down to there, and then pull that down to there. What do we do once we've finished it? We drag a box around it, right click, make it a component. So this would be longer sides. And then we just got to maneuver it into position. So rotate tool, we need to rotate it this colour here, 90 degrees. We're going to move it, so let's move it roughly there. Okay, I need to get above it. It might be a good idea to copy and paste things when you've got them lined up better as well. So for instance, there is a bit closer, so if I do edit, copy, edit, paste, now you see my pasted one is the right way up, which just saves you a bit of time. Okay, so again, moving, so I'm going to move that, oh, I've got the wrong one selected, so that would be onto this edge, and that would be onto that corner. Okay, choose the other one, so you're going to move that onto that edge. Okay, so I'm using the little purple markers and that onto there. Right, so I've built all the panels of my box, and I can now group them so they don't come unstuck. So drag a box around everything, right click and make it a group. Okay, I've just got to make the bottom panel now, and I'm going to draw the bottom panel in situ. Now would be a good time to save your work. So alright, I'm not going to bother, but make sure you save it because it does have a habit of crashing sometimes. And right, to draw the bottom panel, I'm just going to use the geometry I've got here and then do it in situ. So I'm going to use the line tool. I know my bottom's got a slot into all this, so I'm going to draw a line from here to here, and I'm basically going to trace the outline my bottom panel would take. And when I've drawn every single line, so be very methodical about it, you'll see it will pop into existence. So from here to here, from here to here, from here to here. There to there, there to there, and this should be the last one. There you go. You see when I made the last connection it just appeared. Right, that's 4mm thick, so we're going to pull it. Now again, we could just pull it down to there, look. Or you could just type 4 if you want. Right, so that's that bottom panel made. Be a good time to drag a box around it. And if you grouped everything else, it won't get picked up in the selection, which is quite handy. Right click, make a component, so call this bottom panel. So can you see when you start to kind of build other shapes, everything else gets a bit easier. Just check that still moves. There we go. Okay, so here's my bottom panel. I can move it around if I want to. I just did undo there. Right, I need to add in a few things now. I've got to put in this kind of bordered area, which is basically, as it says here, look, 10mm away from the edge, and then a 10mm diameter circle, and then 10mm radius circle, and some 1.5mm radius circles for the screws that we're going to put in. This is going to be our battery access drawer. So we do that as follows. Once you made it a component, if you right click on it and choose edit component, can you see it kind of isolates it and allows you just to tweak this one. I'd recommend using this tool now, the offset tool, and you're going to click just on the edge of this box, and you have to click twice, and can you see it now gives you the ability to move inwards. Look, and what it's doing is just tracing that shape. It's very useful. The offset tool just takes an outline and repeats it, but we wanted it 10mm away, so just hit 10 on your keyboard and hit enter, and that's obviously got to be removed. So you use the push-pull tool, so you're going to pull that down. There you go, 4mm. Brilliant. Alright, that's your battery access panel. You also need to make just the actual door separately, so again, same method as we made this bit here. Let's make all that a group now. So choose it, right click, make group, get your line tool, and you're going to trace all this outline again on the top, so dot to dot, dot to dot. And we're actually going to make this panel removable, so the idea is although it will exist, we can pull it out of the way so we can have a look inside the box and just prove that you put your LEDs and battery in and stuff like that. There you go. As I said, when you make the last panel, it magically appears. Alright, pull it up. I'm going to pull it upwards this time and hit 4, because that's the thickness of the wood. As usual, drag a box around everything, and if you grouped everything else, it'll only select this. Right click, make it a component, so this is battery door. Now I forgot to put in the circle and the 2 holes as shown here, so there's a 10mm radius circle and 2 1.5mm that are kind of, I'm not too bothered about the positioning because you're going to kind of drill them by hand anyway. So again, we want to edit this component, so I right click. How do we find the center of a circle? Well, we draw the diagonal lines. You should remember this from earlier. Draw a circle which is 10mm radius, so hit 10, and I'm just going to draw a line across the midpoint and draw my smaller circles on there where it goes blue, and these were 1.5, and there we go, 1.5. Okay, delete all the things you don't need. This is the time consuming bit, to be honest. Oh, sorry, if it does that, if you might come out of edit mode, so go back to edit component if you need to, if you can't choose bits. There we go. Yep. Remember Control Z if you make a mistake. Sometimes zooming in helps. I should follow my own advice, really. Alright, and then pull them down into oblivion. There we go, so pull that down to this level. Same with that. Remember, I'm pulling to the edge so it knows where the bottom of the object is. Alright, so we're done with that, so we can right click, close components, and you can now see that that's a part on its own. And if you get your move tool, just move that up out of the way. Try to move not left or right, but just, you see when the blue line appears for moving upwards, like that. Okay, or technically it's downwards if we're talking about being in virtual space. Alright, and you want to leave that out of the way because you're going to you're trying to make room to put your other stuff in. Okay, right, save your work again, and now you're going to need to load up part 2 of the video, just because I'm not sure if there'll be enough space to record this all in one big hit. Okay, so that is stage 1. If you've already watched one of my other videos on how to make this, disregard it, because this is a much better method. I've since redecided how to build it. Okay, anyway, load up video 2 next.